Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Mandy's Menagerie. And this is going to be another episode of Minecraft Social Anxiety Confessions. And today I wanted to talk about one of my family members. And, well, I feel in like sort of a large, I don't know if I've in a really large way wronged him, but I feel like I seriously misjudged him for a very long time because of my own issues with feeling inferior. So, it's my grandfather. He is young for a grandfather. I'd say for my age, he would be more like a father age, if that makes sense. So he's not like an old man. He's younger than, I don't know, what is he? Maybe mid 50s or something like that right now. Anyway, so he's a very stern man, very disciplined. He maintains his health very well. He believes in exercise, getting outside, doing things, standing up for yourself. All these things that somebody with social anxiety is not very good at. And I think part of the problem I had growing up is because I partially was raised by him and his wife, my grandmother, when I was in that age where it really started to sort of take off, which was about middle school. And so instead of, because I didn't know, what was wrong with me, I was really having very emotional responses to him, just trying to teach me, I guess, how to take care of myself. Do just even little things and big things. But if somebody charges you the wrong price, going back to the store and having your money refunded. Or one time I forgot to give the pizza man his tip because I was so nervous because I had to answer the door because everybody else had left, and they left me in charge of answering the door. And I was just to me it was like a nightmare, but to them it was like no big deal because they didn't know, and to be honest, I didn't know either. So and I forgot, and he was kind of upset, and as he should be. Like, that guy deserved a tip. That's his job. That's pretty much where his money comes from. So every time I would sort of do something wrong, or every time he'd correct me, or every time he would be showing me how to do something and I wasn't doing it right, and he would every little moment like that became so scary for me, to the point where just him being home was scary. I used to get this feeling of dread when I would hear the car coming in the driveway. I'd be like, oh, he's home. And it was just, it's something that enveloped me, this fear, he's gonna say something to me again, it's gonna be bad. I folded the clothes wrong, or I dropped a crumb somewhere, he's gonna find it. Every little thing was terrifying. And of course, that's not normal. It'd be one thing if there was some sort of threat of violence. He never hurt me, ever. You know what I mean? And I never really thought that, I never really thought that he would. When he's angry, he's really scary. But that's not a threat of violence thing, you know what I mean? I already have a bit of a fear of authority figures, and he was definitely the authority figure in the house. And so yeah, it got to be that I was terrified of him. And I always sort of blamed him for that. I always sort of felt like that was him. And it wasn't him, it was me. I was sick, I didn't know. He certainly didn't know, but I never really told him. I never confronted him about it until I was a bit older, and I think it was I was starting college. This was early college, and maybe 5-7 years ago, something like that. And I tried to tell him how I felt growing up. I tried to explain it to him. I tried to I don't know, take a stand. That's how I viewed it in my mind. Take a stand, trying to explain to him what he had done to me. And then he just got really upset and just walked out, and he was very hurt, as he should have been, because, I realize now it wasn't his fault. It wasn't about him. He didn't do anything. It was that I was so sensitive. My emotions were not straight. That I couldn't see that. You know what I mean? So I mean, I feel bad, and I've never like apologized or anything for it. But and I stopped talking to my family for a very long time, for years, because I just couldn't handle it. You know what I mean? Not even just because of him, but because of a lot of other stuff. I have a lot of issues with my mom, and that would be my mom's side of the family. So I just, I just couldn't deal with it. And so, but recently, my grandfather's, his mother, my great grandmother, she was really sick, and I found out from my brother, and it it was just sort of like time. It was like I can't just not talk to them anymore. Oh, I must have done this. Forget doing that. Um, and so I said, she's sick. I gotta be there. So I mean, I showed up, and I ended up seeing my family again that I hadn't spoken to for a long time. I ended up seeing him again, and the first thing that he asked me to do, he said, "Would you just do me a favor?" And I said, "Sure, what's that?" And he said, "Would you call your grandmother," which is his wife. He's actually my step grandfather. I didn't mention that. He's not my biological grandfather, but he is my grandpa. My grandmother, on the other hand, so he asked me to call her. She's my grandmother by blood, my mother's mother. And so and I did. I just he handed me the phone, and I talked to my grandmother, and I hadn't talked to her in a long time, and I'm sure that it really upset her that I hadn't done it. And I just sort of explained to her immediately, because I didn't know what else to say. Like, I didn't know how to explain why I was gone for so long. But in the time that I was gone, I hadn't been talking to them. That's when I had gone to see the doctor, and gotten everything figured out, and I was on medication now, and I was able to, like, for the first time, really explain to them, like, why I was the way I was, what was wrong with me, like, that I was on medication, that I was feeling better, that I know that I should, I mean, things shouldn't have been that way, and that I just try to say, I just need to get right with myself. And they were very understanding about it, and that was great. And I never, apologized to him. I never said, "Grandpa, I know that you weren't like being verbally abusive or something. I'm just, every little criticism I was just so sensitive to. That's just the way that I was. I mean, when I first went in to see my doctor for the first time, he basically, like, the first day when he met me, he said that I should be on medication, which sounds awful. You'd think, oh, what a bad doctor. But the fact is, I couldn't even talk about anything without bursting into tears. Like, that's how emotionally, like, shaken I was about anything. You know what I mean? Just so bad it was. I mean, so you can imagine, me not being able to even have, a regular conversation with my family when I perceived them to be the main source of my misery in life, and and when it was really just because my emotions were all out of whack. All my chemicals were wrong in my brain, and now they weren't. And so I've been keeping in contact with them since. And my grandmother, his mother, did pass away, and I was very upset about it. But I think I got some small sort of comfort in regards to him, and the fact that he could tell I was really upset. It wasn't like I disappeared and I stopped caring about everybody. Like, I think that I think that he understood that I really did care about my family. I cared about him and about my grandmother, and it wasn't like I just one day just walked away and said, "Screw everybody, forget it." Like, that wasn't what it was about. So yeah, I in a way I feel I'm really glad that I went there. That I mean, not that I don't think I never considered not going when she was getting sick and she was dying, but at the same time, I'm really glad that I went anyway. You know what I mean? Like, any excuse could have stopped me, because when you have social anxiety, it's like just the threat of the misery is like of discomfort is sometimes enough to stop you. But it was so urgent that I not this time. Like, for me, it was no matter what I felt, I was going. And I will tell you, in those weeks where I had to see my family again, or I was seeing my great grandmother, like, dying, I was a wreck. Like, every day was stress, constant. My muscles were all, like, knotted up. I mean, it was so uncomfortable. And sorry, I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm getting messages on my Steam. Um, And I think I've stopped this video because my friend really needs to talk to me apparently. Anyway, so yeah, I'm talking to my family again, and that's great. And my medicine allowed me to do that. So I really think that that's what I think that that's the right thing. I think that if you need medication, you should take it. I know like a lot of people don't like the idea of I'm gonna be stuck on medication for the rest of my life. That's not necessarily true. The only reason I'm still just taking it is because I haven't actually started any kind of therapy because my insurance changed and stuff. But I'm able to keep taking my medicine, keep maintaining, and I can work on myself until I decide, when's the right time to go back to therapy. You know what I mean? So you can make that decision too. And thank you for watching Mandy's Menagerie: Confessions of Social Anxiety. I would love for people to leave comments or whatever about their stories, their own stories, and things like that. And I'm hoping that something that I say relates to you. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.